So, sorry guys, I was having a little phone issues. So, as I was saying before, during the Christmas season, I went into full pulmonary shutdown, where my lungs were breathing air in and out, but the portions of my lungs that were supposed to be transferring the air that was going in there into my bloodstream weren't doing anything. So it was just air going in and out of my lungs, and my bloodstream wasn't supplying any oxygen to my brain, my vital organs, or anywhere else that needed to go. So because I've walked around so long with this is just my own thinking. This isn't scientific. The doctors agreed, but there's no really way to prove it. You know, my wife likes to think that I'm a fighter, I'm this tough guy, but you know, I don't see it. I appreciate she does. That is the only reason that I'm still around, because I didn't let her call the ambulance for a good 10-15 minutes when I wasn't breathing. Like, I was breathing, but it was pointless. Anyways, when it started happening, I knew there was something wrong, because I was breathing and I wasn't getting any. You know, when you breathe it's hard to imagine because it's an involuntary action. But when you breathe in, imagine running and you get that first deep breath and you get that relief where your lungs aren't burning. I wasn't getting any relief from breathing in and out over and over again. That's my bald kitty Caesar creeping in the background. So I wasn't getting any relief from the air. And then I noticed it wasn't getting any better. So before I'd cheat and I wouldn't wear my oxygen constantly, because, you know, at 36 years old, as stupid as it sounds, it's embarrassing to walk around with an oxygen thing on your face. You know, you don't want the world to know that you're handicapped in some way, especially a guy like me who's, you know, worked his whole life off the sweat of his brow and the strength of his, you know, the strength of his constitution. So, but that's just my reality anymore. Last time I tried to walk around without it, I almost passed out into the aisle of Kmart. So I have to. I use one of those little cart things, and I make the best of it and joke with people as I'm driving around, and, you know, make a fool out of myself to just try and make light of it. But I'm self-conscious the entire time. But if that's what it is, it's what it is, you know. So anyways, so I'm breathing in and out and nothing's happening, and I'm starting to get worried. So I yell for my wife, and she comes in and she's like, what? And she's like, man, what's that weird noise when you... I'm like, I can't breathe. And she's like, you're breathing. I'm like, yeah, but I can't breathe. And I have this thing that's for cystic fibrosis. It's a vibration vest, and what it is a vest that I put on. It inflates with air, and then the air vibrates, and it breaks up, you know, stuff, phlegm, whatever, bad stuff to my lungs. And in usual cases, you expel that stuff. But part of my condition is at the bottom of my lungs. I don't know the correct term right now, and I'll catch up with you guys with it. I have something that, instead of it going away, it collects, and that itself like causes problems. If you can imagine that there's liquid in my lungs. Liquid in your lungs is pneumonia, or liquid surrounding your lung lining is pneumonia. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor, so if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. just my understanding of it. So I constantly deal with bacterial infections because of that, and I have to take antibiotics. I constantly deal with pneumonia. I constantly deal with other type of infections, and so I'm on a lot of prednisone, which is a steroid, which is really bad for me in a number of ways. It can cause diabetes. It's causing me to have osteoporosis. It's eating away at my bones. It's lowering my immune system, but it opens up my airways. And I had a biopsy recently that completely exacerbated my condition. Before my biopsy, I could breathe 60 times better than I can now. But since they opened me up and cut 3 lobes out of my lungs to make sure I didn't have cancer, for whatever reason, I had no signs of cancer or anything like that. But I'm sure it helped pay somebody's bills. So anyways, after that, I've had really a hard time, and this was kind of close to the time that I had that biopsy. It was maybe a month afterwards. So anyways, I called my wife in. She's banging on the back of my... I asked her to start, kind of imitating that vest, because I didn't figure I had time to throw on that vest, and I wasn't comfortable enough moving, because when I move, I exert energy, which requires more air. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to move. I just wanted to stand there and hopefully, catch my breath all of a sudden. So she's banging on the back of my back, and she's freaking out, and as she's looking at me, she's like, I'm turning colors from red to blue to gray, and I can't see it. I don't see the severity in it. I know how I feel. I'm panicked. I can't breathe. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, me being stubborn, I finally tell her, okay, just call 911. And she called 911. We were lucky. There's a fire station very close to here. They got here very fast. They hooked me up to, I think, what's called a CPAP, which is where it's a kind of like a forced air machine. It's a mask they put on you that shoves air into your lungs and then sucks it out. Shoves it in, sucks it out. So it forces your lungs to go open and shut. So even if my lungs are taking in a small amount of air, it's better than nothing. When they checked my vitals, my O2 levels, I was at 52, and 52 is organ failure. And I never passed out. I fought the entire time to just kind of stay awake, and I don't know if it was just instinct or what it was, but they're like, I have no idea how he's still functioning, walking. By all scientific means, this guy should be passed out and his organs should be failing, should be in brain damage. And I probably damaged my brain through the 90s, and I'm fine. But we made it to the hospital. I started to recover somewhat, but there was what they wanted to do was intubate me, which means put a breathing tube down my throat, and just, what that means. But what it meant to me was I was going to miss Christmas with my family. So I said that if they came into the room with an intubator, that I was going to get up and walk out, and I can sign myself out at any time, and I know my rights. So they allowed me to not be intubated, and said that if I kept improving, that they wouldn't intubate me. So luckily for me, they just found out that I had lots of fluid surrounding my lungs, that were keeping my lungs from transferring the oxygen to the rest of my bloodstream. And that was the issue at that particular moment. So that was my last trip to the hospital. So anyways, I'm gonna finish my breathing treatment. My name is Jason, and I just wanted to give you a little insight into what life of IPF is. So welcome to my video blog.